morning. Today is the 28th of July 2020. We are on our way to Pennington, New Jersey. Got a customer who's selling his house and he needs a few things done so that it can pass a U&O inspection. Now, this particular customer moved out of his home several years ago and purchased another home elsewhere in New Jersey. And he allowed his adult son and his family to live in this house rent-free so that they could save up their money and eventually purchase a place, because he wanted to put this on the market and get rid of it. During the son's tenure at the house there, he decided he was going to help his father out by turning a fiberglass shower enclosure into a tile one. And he started by using a sawzall to cut the base of the shower out. Fortunately, that is not a proper way of doing anything, and now it's got to be completely replaced. Because the homeowner's not interested in putting a lot of money into it before he sells it, instead he wants me to remove the shower completely and build a wall in front of it, the empty space where the shower used to be, and he's just going to put up shelving. So that's the job today for me. Katana's going to be working on some masonry work. The driveway's got big holes in it, and she is going to be patching the holes. There are also holes in front of the front steps that she needs to patch, and a trip hazard on the sidewalk, and she's going to remedy that as well. So let's roll the intro and then we'll be on site. So we're on site here in Pennington, New Jersey. This is the house that is for sale. As you can see, the house behind it has a nice built-in pool. This house has a lot of potential, but is in a little bit of disarray. Just had new carpets put in here, so I'm using this canvas to protect it. That's where all the plumbing is, down underneath of that crawl space. I will show you the rest of the house as well. But right now, we are working in here, getting rid of this shower. This shower here, the son cut the bottom of it out with a sawzall because he was going to put tile in. And unfortunately didn't realize that this bottom piece goes up behind that piece, and that's what keeps the water from leaking behind it. So our job is to take this out, build a wall as far back as we can from here to hide all this. So we got to take this curb out, and we got to take this platform out, and everything else. The tile and all that's going to stay on the wall back there. It's just going to be an unused space as far back as we can possibly go, depending on where that plumbing is. So all this stuff here is in our way, but that's the job. Let's get started. Alright, so that little half of my intro I'm going to use as a separation between parts of the video. What I'm doing here is I'm using a razor knife to score where the shower enclosure meets the wall. It's siliconed in place there on the end to keep the water from getting behind it. As you can see, there's really not a whole lot to a shower enclosure. It's actually quite flimsy, to be honest with you. So I took a hammer, I used a claw, pulled part of it out. It split, so I went with the split and followed it and let it rip itself across. That is a Fat Max wrecking bar. This is a joy to use. If you can't get it in, you got a crowbar on the other end. I'm going to remove the whole shower enclosure because I want to get the plumbing behind here, and I want to take and cap off the plumbing. You always want to score your silicone lines because Silicone is a very good adhesive, and it'll hold your shower in place in a lot of cases. So this curb has to go, and this side of the Fat Max wrecking bar is great for trying to dislodge things. This side is the width of a 2x4, so if you could get it on a 2x4 or behind it, you get a lot of power with it. This was put in before the tile, so we're going to just cut this in half and then we'll be able to remove it. We'll use a Sawzall for that. So this 20-volt cordless Sawzall is actually pretty cool because when you unlock where the blade goes, you can stick it sideways this way, that way, or that way, whichever way fits what you need to have happen. There it goes. So you can face it any one of those 4 directions. Just like so. But see, if I don't build the wall, here, the floor's all messed up. This wall's all destroyed. It's not good. These are all nailed in. That was all screwed in. This is all nailed in. Now that's good. Always an adventure. So if you're wondering why I'm soaking wringing wet, part of it's sweat, but the water's off. It's not running at all. I drained that, and then somebody turned the water on a crack and it sprayed me. So it got a little wet. Now, oddly enough, the water for this shower comes from a crawl space down here, and I was almost certain it came up through the floor. This indicates that it doesn't, and it comes up across the ceiling here. So it must come up through the wall here and then over and down. Pipes run right over here. So I don't know where they tied in. It's probably somewhere back in here, but either way, it's coming straight down to here. So we need to cut these and cap these. I'll show you how we do that. So this here is called a stub out. It's a 1/2 inch copper pipe, and the end of it looks kind of like actually it could hurt yourself. It's a pointy like nipple, but it's all one piece. And what this is used for is when a house is being built, the plumber comes through. This is a rough-in for like a toilet. This will be sticking out through the wall. They can pressurize the system to make sure there's no leaks. When it's time to install the toilet, they just cut this and put the chrome piece over it and put the shut-off of the toilet in. So this holds back full water pressure in any home, because it is literally just a copper pipe with the end solid. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this copper pipe here, and we are going to put stub outs in it. We're going to use shark bites, and we'll just stub it out like that so the water cannot go past it. It'll still pressurize. If anybody ever wants to put a shower back in, all the plumbing will be here for it. And then we'll take out the faucet and everything. So you want to make sure that the water is absolutely off when you do this, because if you cut these lines, you'll have full water pressure. As you can see, the water's off, nothing's coming out at all. So we're going to cut the line. And I'm using these. I like these. I don't know what you call them. They're self-adjusting pipe cutters. You just open it up, put it around the pipe, and then twist it in the direction that's the arrows on here. Now you hear a little gurgling. That's because there's water in this line. It has nowhere to go, so it is going to leak out a little bit. And air is going to rush in. And when air rushes in, it usually makes a sink start dripping, because water has to go somewhere. And that one is cut. As you can see. And like I said, a little bit of water is going to come out. It's just what's in this line. It's not going to hurt anything. This here is a tool. It's just a piece of plastic, but what it does is it tells you when your shark bite fitting and your copper pipe are properly seated. So, and you should never use your teeth to open packages. So what you do is you take your stub out, you sit it into the 1/2 inch part, and you make a mark on the pipe. You got this line on here from that piece, and you got these plastic pieces in here inside the shark bite fitting. You don't have to keep them in there. They're there so in case you're using PEX plumbing or something of that nature. You can take a needle nose, reach in there, and pull them out. That is not necessary for copper pipe. Pull it out, so you end up with just a shark bite. And then when you put it in here, it has to go all the way to that line. Once it makes it to the line, it's in properly, it's seated properly and far enough. All right, I already got the stub out on there, and we're going to push this onto here. And right up to the line, just like that. And now we can take the faucet out. These are called compression fittings, and I'm just taking these off. Again, if the water's not off, do not loosen these. You will have yourself a mess. and that's held on by a ferrule. You see that little ferrule there? It's a little brass piece right here. That slides onto the copper pipe. The copper pipe gets pushed into the hole, and then you tighten it down, and it squeezes that ferrule and kind of forces it in between the copper pipe and the brass fitting, and it prevents it from leaking. These are very good fittings, as are the shark bites. They'll last for years and years and years. There it is. Faucet's out. This I can scrap, and I will, because I like to recycle everything I can, and recycling is a very big part of my life because I used to be a supervisor in charge of a recycling center up in Maine, and I don't believe anything should go to waste if you can reuse it or turn it into something else. Plus, I get a few bucks for it. So there's even more of an incentive. All right, so the water's back on. We have full pressure. As you can see, the sink, hot and cold both work, or cold and hot rather. And we don't have any leaks here. The stub outs are holding it perfectly, and that's what they're designed to do. If anybody wanted to put a shower back in here, they could take the shark bites off, or they could just cut this and tie right into it. That's what it's designed for. It's designed to hold the water pressure back until someone's ready to do some work there. So the customer wants all these 2x4s for the base taken out of here and a wall put up. Unfortunately, he wants the wall put up back here, and if I do that, there's all this damage that he's going to have to contend with. And I really don't think he wants to do that and try to match these tiles from the 70s, which are larger than what he thought he was going to be able to do. He had these tiles here that he purchased, but they're not even close. So my suggestion to him is going to be to end the wall right where the tile ends. You'll have a little bit of a setback here, and you can put shelves or whatever you want in there, and just hide the rest of that, because he doesn't want to put any money into the place. He's selling this house as is, but anything that is installed, like showers, have to work, and where this one didn't work, he didn't want to replace it. He don't want to put a lot of money into it. It's an as-is job. So as-is means it just has to pass code. And ripping a shower out, capping that, and leaving this just the way it is passes code, but he wants it to disappear. I did tell him that if he sells this to someone, he has to say there was a shower in there and that there is remnants of it, and not to hide it from them, because that is considered a latent defect. It's something wrong with the house that they will not be able to know unless they take a wall down. So it's dead space that nobody's going to have access to unless they want to put a new shower enclosure in there, which I would have rather than shower enclosure in there if it was me, because it makes the house worth more. But again, if you're selling it as is and you're just trying to get rid of it as fast as you can, I guess this is probably the cheapest way to go. So that's what we're doing. We're doing exactly what the client wants. And as you can see, it's holding back water pressure just fine, and it is okay to bury shark bites into the wall. They last for a very long time. Sometimes they outlast the copper pipes even. So there we go. Now I'm going to take that base out of there, and then we're going to start putting a wall up. All right, so it's all cleaned up now. That drain is 1.5 inches, but the way it's built on the end there to accept the shower, which the drain that threads into it, it's wider than 1.5 inches. This here is called a Fernco cap. It's a rubber cap with this worm drive clamp on it, and all we do is pop this over that and tighten this down with about 60 pounds of torque. I'm going to put a little bit here, which is going to hold that piece of tile down that was there, just to keep everything on the same plane. And I'm going to use this as adhesive because I don't have any adhesive with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 16 inches. Well, I can't do 16 inches from both sides because that would put one here and one here. So the space between this wall from the whole wall is 36 inches. So we're going to go 12 inches and make a mark. From here, 12 inches and make a mark. And then there should be 12 inches between them, which there is. We're going to go here. And right there. Now, top's got to come, bottom's got to go that way a little bit. And a little more. There we go. It's close enough for government work. I'll get one of these up in here. So if it doesn't fit, are we screwed? Do I have to cut a new 2x4? No. Let me show you how you do it with one of these. Actually, two of these. These are shims. And you take the two narrow sides, you put them together, and you put them on top. And obviously, this doesn't need much, so you let them hang off the sides quite well. You can actually even use one with this one. If it's a big enough gap, you use two. This way you don't have a lopsided 2x4. But this one of them is going to be suffice. And now you see, it stays there. But you can take and drive that in a little further. Make it nice and tight. Right there. And we'll get a couple nails in it. Oh, that's almost perfect. Alright, so here's what we got. We got the wall built. It's not done yet. We got to drywall it. And then we got to cut some tile and kind of fill it in there and smudge that over a little bit. It's not going to be perfect because we don't have tile that matches it, but we can come a little close. And we'll try to make it look as best as we possibly can. So now we got to measure this up and get a piece of drywall cut for this and get that installed. Last chance to get your tools out from behind there. Rags and all that stuff. I'm not going to leave that mess back there for anybody. I am going to clean it up with a broom. If you watch my video titled Bob and Katana Make a Tub Access Panel, you'll see that there's a better tool for this. But I need to remove these two little pieces. And I'm just going to use a razor knife to cut through the grout lines of these. And really all I'm doing is creating a fault line. That's where things crack on. Things crack on fault lines. So when I try to take that tile out, it should just crack right on that fault line. See how it worked? See that?
10 minutes later.
The battery died, so I didn't show you me putting these two tiles in. I apologize for that. But the other side needs tile as well. So I'll show you how I did it. Alright, so we do not have anything other than silicone. So we're going to put silicone. And this GE silicone, and I know you're thinking, oh my god, he's silicone and tiles on the wall. This is going to have trim around it and everything else. So we're going to take this, we're going to slide it in here like this, and we are going to push it into place. We are going to grout the grout lines. Get rid of the silicone, we don't need that there. We are going to grout them because there is grout here. And we're just putting that in there. Not worried about this piece right here. It's going to be covered with a piece of trim. Trim's going to come out to about here. It's going to cover the whole bottom of the floor where the tile is. And then that piece fits in there. So we'll put silicone on that one as well. Put the cut end in and just push it into place. You do want to try to make the grout lines the same if you can, so it looks kind of even. You don't want it to be a nasty mess, but that's the best we can do under the circumstances. That's the only tile they had. Homeowner purchased it. It closes that in enough. Once we grout it, it'll be a little different of a color. This is white and this is more of an almond, but it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. And anyone who buys this house, because they're buying it as is probably redoing it anyway. Because let's face it, it's got other problems. They did put a new carpet in this room. I guess it's a selling feature, but yeah, I'll show you around right now actually. This is the living room. The man went up in the attic to do something the other day, and he came down that way. He said he almost killed himself. He came right down and fell. That's rough. So this is kind of like a concave shape there as you go down. And then this goes into the kitchen. And it's not terrible. It's just not wonderful, you know. And we got to put another door in here. Although I don't know how well that's going to work because I can't seem to find the hinges. And this is like the back sitting room, and it goes out onto a deck. I mean, it's not a bad house. It just needs some work. Needs some TLC, some tender, loving care. See, that's considered like an interior room, I guess. Although, because it does. It has heat right here coming out of the floor. But the door is a sliding exterior door built into the wall with bifold doors on the other side of it. It's really bizarre. I don't know why you would build exterior doors into the wall. If you ever had to change something, you'd never be able to get it out. You'd have to tear your wall out. This is bizarre. Look at that. From a kitchen to the porch with a sliding glass door. To each their own. This is a lot of drywall mistakes and cracks and tape coming off up there, and I don't think that light works. And we can look upstairs too. This is the bathroom upstairs. The floor is all cracked. All these tiles are cracked. and it's very spongy and weak under your feet. We need to take this outlet out and just cover it. See how it's got tile on the bottom of that? That looks, I mean, it definitely needs some work. Needs a whole new tub in here. This is all in rough shape. And I guess this tile must have been to try to stop a leak or something. I'm not really sure. Then you have this room here with your blue stucco ceiling. Is there a light in here? Yeah, blue stucco ceiling. It's rough, can you see it? It's almost like a knocked down popcorn ceiling or something. This room does not have a popcorn ceiling. Actually, it's probably the most normal looking room in the house. Well, I take that back. This one's probably normal too. Great yellow light. So that's the house, folks. That's what it looks like. And like I said, it's going to be as is, and it's only because he doesn't want to have to redo everything. You don't have to put new showers in and everything, and I don't blame him. Trying to make the downstairs look as best as he can. Looks like there's a water leak or something that happened there. I don't know where. Maybe the shower leaked, and that's where the controls are. Maybe they leaked in there. I don't know. All right, let's get back to work. We got things to do. Hopefully the video caught me putting this in place. If not, I slid it in and popped it in there. The only thing I did was put this end in first because of the switch. Now I'm marking from the end 12 inches because I know that's where the studs are. All right, so I cut this piece of wood down to 3.5 inches. Height-wise, that's gonna go in there and hide the edge of the tile. And then we're gonna have trim, like regular door trim, or quarter round, come up and around here. I think I'm going to use the regular door trim because I think it'll look a little bit nicer than quarter round molding. And I have enough of it. And like I always say, if you're gonna have to bend your measuring tape into the corner, you're never really gonna get a good measurement. So go right to the end and come to something even that you know, 20 inches. And then come from the other side and look at it, and it comes to 15 7/8. So 20 plus 15 7/8 is 35 7/8. Alright, the same thing here. That looks good. Alright, so I cut this one here 36.5 inches long. I cut this one here. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be darn close. And I cut this one. This one has to be cut down a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is just trim out the bottom. We're going to grout this because it's hardened by now. We're going to grout that. Trimmed out the bottom. Paintable cloth across there. And this whole thing will be ready for paint after the drywall spackle's put on. And we're just going to cover the ends of it with all this so it just looks like it belongs there. So the neighbor behind here has a big in-ground swimming pool. Her dogs are swimming in it. It's kind of cool, actually. that's what I did. I just used a razor knife. This is PVC trim. So let's get down there and see what's going on. All right. Now let's see. That fits over that bull nose a lot better like that. And we don't really have any way to install this in here. So again, this one here I can tack into the wood, but these I can't. So I'm gonna clean this floor up really good. Plus this wall's on an angle here, you can tell by the tile line. I'm gonna clean this up really good, and we're gonna use silicone again as an adhesive, and it also will waterproof it, so it's a win-win. Don't look bad. I mean, it ain't exactly perfect. I wouldn't want it at my house, but this is what he wants. But he's selling the house as is, so anybody who buys it is more than likely gonna be buying it.
Oh, they're definitely gonna fix her up here.
Yeah, they're gonna want to go through it because, I mean, you saw the bathroom floor upstairs and everything, right?
It's her house. It's
Yeah, it's in rough shape.
still living here?
No, nobody lives here. His son was living here, but they have moved, I think he said, to Florida. And they're no longer here. So he's trying to get rid of it.
Move to Florida because it's cheaper.
Maybe.
Alright, I gotta close the door for 2 seconds.
Good. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. This compliment is absolutely the most beautiful thing is. Even if you're least letter, see everything squeezes right up. Garbage man. Don't still hold it right down. Really great help. It's a little better. Alright, move down this later. And we'll go over here. Something like that. I don't think I have to do it on top of that. Go around. In here. Okay, so how do you get rid of a shower? This is the cheesiest way you can do it. Cheap and cheesy. But that's what the customer wanted. I think they would have been better putting another shower enclosure in there, but it's what we got. It's trimmed out like a door. I put that base trim in the quarter round so it looks like the tiles are evenly ended right under it. Unless you knew, you would have no idea what was behind there. What I was going to tell them to do is take this mirror, put it here, and mount a shelf under it, and put a flower on it.